Hi, I'm jsisk, and this is my CIS 566 term project report. The project is called E-Guard, and the functionality goal of it is to provide a internet control interface for the parent to monitor the website usage of a child and to control activity. The functions included are a timer, where the parent can set the amount of time for the child to access the internet. Blocked categories. If a website contains a category that's undesirable, it'll be blocked. Keywords to be blocked. A blacklist of websites to block, and a whitelist that will be allowed no matter what. So the design patterns on preliminary analysis, the three I chose are the following. So looking at these activities, I noticed these are performed sequentially always, and so I've decided to use the chain of responsibility pattern to implement each of these control activities. So in the structure, each of these items will be assigned to a class, and then its successor will be assigned to the next class, and so on, and then each will be performing the check. The next design pattern implemented is the singleton, which I will use on the administrator object to ensure that it exists only once. Finally, the builder pattern will be used to develop the admin object. So if the administrator has not yet registered, the object isn't created and thus will be built from a dialog box. If the administrator has been created in the past, it will be built from a file. So those are the three design patterns. So here's an overview of the design patterns outline. So here's the account checker, which is the chain of responsibility pattern. The generic function, or the class account checker, has the element successor, a user account object, which I'll describe later, or it's right here, and it returns a result. The functions are the to perform check, which returns a result, and to set successor, which you can set another account checker object. So each of these account checkers inherits from this one. You have the blacklist checker, which checks the site blacklist, the category, which checks the category and returns the result. Say the category is blocked, it'll return the result blocked category. The whitelist checker, keyword checker, and time checker. And so in implementation, each of these objects is instantiated, and then it sets the successor to be the next in the order I decided. The user account is an object that not necessarily related to this design pattern, but it's in the software, and it includes attributes related to the user activities such as the whitelist, blacklist, keywords, categories, etc. So moving on to the admin object, which implements the singleton pattern. So the admin constructor is private, and there are methods to get the instance, which returns the only single instance of admin, or if an admin doesn't exist, it will be created. And then the builder pattern is used by admin builder. The admin invokes the admin builder in one of its child classes, either file admin builder, which builds the administrator object from a file, console, which builds it from input received on the console, environment, or the dialog, which builds a dialog box and then prompts the user to enter the credentials for an administrator. So, looking at the code, we'll take a look at these objects. So, here's the account checker, which implements the chain of responsibility pattern. Here's the abstract class account checker. You can set the successor. Here's the account checker successor. And then you can say perform check, which in this case is abstract. It will be implemented by child classes, so each of the child classes, blacklist checker, checks the blacklist, and it will return either this result, clear to enter, if it's not on the blacklist, or it will say, if there's a successor, it'll say result equals successor, perform check. So same thing with the category checker, keyword checker, time checker, and whitelist checker. So in the code, here's where the checkers are instantiated. Each of them accepts the user account object, and then your time checker is performed first, and the successor is the whitelist checker. The whitelist checker is then the blacklist checker. Blacklist, then the category. Well, this is a separate function. You can set the internet directory, which I'll describe later. And then the category checker successor is keyword checker. Finally, we get a result, and that's you first tell the first object, the time checker, to perform its check on the text of, or the URL of the website to check. That's the chain of responsibility. Now, to discuss the singleton pattern I implemented with the administrator. Here's the class admin, username, password. The constructor is protected. These both are constructors. Here's the get instance. If the build does not exist, it will make a new one. Alright, anyway. If this object is null, it doesn't exist yet, create a new admin object. And then build it. Or just return it. If it exists already, you'll just return the admin object. Okay, for the builder pattern, I implemented the class admin builder. Here's the abstract class admin builder, which builds an administrator object, or admin object. Here's console admin builder, which pops open a console and asks for the username and password, and then it creates an admin, or it sets the attributes for this admin object. Dialog, which will be used in the program, opens a dialog box and then sets the admin object based on that result, and then file admin, which will read an admin object from file. So those are the design patterns used. We discussed the user account class, which we'll just show it once again. Here are the fields, all the lists, and this object will be stored and retrieved from file. Right. So now we'll go into the implementation of the software. So this software is implemented in C# as a Windows Forms object. So this is the interface, this is a web browser object, and this is the URL bar. And when the go button is pressed, the URL in this bar will be checked using those checkers. This is the manage account. Now when we click this manage account button, it'll check the account object, and if it doesn't exist, it'll use the well, that's the login form. Here's the admin builder created a form to create the admin object, which I can't get to right now. There's a little glitch, but anyway, this is the form, and for convenience sake, we don't need login credentials. This is called the account manager form. This is how we manage all of the attributes of the user account class. So this is the whitelist, blacklist, block categories, block keywords. The whitelist, for example, can be edited just by typing in a URL. For example, like this, and clicking add. Also, you can remove something from the whitelist by clicking remove. Same thing with blacklist and block keywords. Block categories, there's a constant list of website categories that is returned by get category object. Now the get category object, or I should say the category checker object, will first check the local list of categories, and if the site if the site is on that list, it'll return that category, or if the site is not on that list, it'll actually go to site what's that blue coat site review, and it'll look inside the HTML of that URL and get the category. So we'll show that later. So first we'll demonstrate that we can save and restore the class. So let's add this, for example. We added flowers.com. We'll close the program. It's saving it to file. The user account object, that is. Back into manage account. And there's the URL we added. So now we're going to demonstrate the going to a category, a website with a known category. So for example, I have google.com. And it performs the check, and because it's known and not blocked, it lets it load in this site, this web browser object. Now we'll go to a site without a known category, such as apple.com. You'll notice that it takes a few seconds longer to load because this site was not on the category list, so it actually had to go load up site review browser and check the site category and make sure it wasn't blocked. Alright, so now we'll test out the account settings. So you'll notice that, by the way, google.com was on both the whitelist and blacklist. I have it set so that the whitelist will trump that blacklist. So even if a site is on any of these blocked areas, if it's on the whitelist, it'll be loaded anyway. So now we'll remove it from the whitelist. It's on the blacklist. So if I close this one, well, this pop-up form tells me that it's on the blacklist, so I can't visit it. So now we'll demonstrate something that's unlike the blocked categories. Let's see, social networking is a blocked category, so I should be able to Let me try facebook.com. You might have seen that one object flash. That's because it had to load. Alright, contains block category, so Facebook is a social networking. If I try Twitter, it won't because it's a block category. Go back to manage account. Alright, so now if I remove social networking from that block categories, here's a breakpoint I set to show that this site is on the list. This category is already on the list, so it doesn't have to go search for it. And there's facebook.com. Now let's try to go to a website with the block keyword. I have guns. So like guns.com is a thing. Oh, this is an error. Let's try adding it again. Oh, that was working a minute ago. Anyway, the keyword checker will check the URL keyword, and it should block websites with any keyword in it. So that is... oh, one more thing, the timer expired. So, right now, the timer is not implemented, but if I say allow the time to have 0 hours, and I set that, then I try to navigate to this website, it'll say time expired. So that is E-Guard, and I am jsisk.